Bitcoin has finally broken above this $30,000 per Bitcoin level. We've had multiple days of this positively trending MACD histogram showing that this bull trend is not over and we are going to continue to the upside. Plus, I have a lot of crypto news to go through with you today, so make sure you're watching until the end of the video. This is just in. Asset manager Valkyrie officially files for a spot Bitcoin ETF with the ticker BRRRR. This is just days after BlackRock announced that it's going to open its own spot ETF for Bitcoin. It shows that now, after the biggest player in the investment industry has actually gone ahead and filed for its own Bitcoin ETF, that all of these smaller players are now willing to get in and follow in the footsteps of these massive investment firms. And former CEO of the $1.9 trillion Barclays Bank says, "I love seeing some of the mainstream firms getting involved in Bitcoin like BlackRock, even showing that these other massive banks in the business are also looking with a very close eye as what these other investment firms are doing, especially related to crypto." So could this spark the actual next bull run? Because if you think about it, a lot of traditional investors have never got involved in Bitcoin. They've never wanted to actually get their money and deposit it on a crypto exchange. But if we actually create this spot ETF, it gives access to a lot of these traditional investors straight access into Bitcoin. They can use stock market, they can even use their money from their retirement accounts and actually invest, whereas that was just not possible before. And if you think about that supply and demand, if we keep the supply of Bitcoin the same at that 21 million, but now we've got a massive increase in demand because we've got a lot of these retail investors who make up the biggest portion of the investment firm. So now we're actually seeing that we're going to have a lot more demand. The supply is going to stay the same. And what's going to happen? Simple economics tells us that the price is going to increase. Fed Chair Powell, the Bitcoin and crypto asset class appears to have some staying power in the US economy, showing that even a lot of, since these big investment firms opening up their spot ETF, Bitcoin has been around for a very long time. We've gone through multiple bull and bust cycles. I truly believe that we are in the next bull cycle for Bitcoin. We're in the early stages. We haven't doubled, tripled, quadrupled from the current prices, but you will see that we will begin to have that parabolic move to the upside driven by some of these investment firms creating this spot ETF. If we quickly begin by looking at Bitcoin on the weekly chart, all through this area we have that positive sloping EMA. We've come through, retested this EMA, and now we've confirmed that higher prices are likely. As I was speaking about all through here, we've had a positive trending EMA, and that just tells me that there's a higher probability, not a guaranteed probability, but a higher probability of trades working to the long side. Obviously, the probability is not always 100%. All through these areas, we had a lot of bearish bars, and if you were only buying and not selling in these areas, then you would have definitely lost a bunch of trades. But after gaining massive here, and also massive here, you would have easily outperformed your short or your couple losses that you've had in the market. And that's why I also like to actually scroll out and use the weekly time frame to determine which way the trend is going, because I then also know that these support areas are very common for price to come back and retest right in between these value zones. Even seeing back through this area when we had that negatively trending EMA, all through these areas, the value zone. And that's why I even begin my trading day by actually looking at the weekly time frame, because I can actually determine where are some value zones. Are we near value? Are we going to come back and pull back into value, potentially hold on to my buyers, buy when we get into the value zone, and then look for those pushes to the upside. Doesn't even matter if I'm trading the 5-minute time frame, the 1-minute time frame. I want to be trading in the direction of the long-term trend, and that's what I'm able to determine using the long-term weekly 20 exponential moving average. One of the small things that I was worried about with Bitcoin is you can see we were in this sideways trending channel, but we have now confirmed that we have broken out of this channel. All through this area, we were using it as a slightly tilted resistance level. All through this area, we were using it as a slightly tilted support level. And as I was speaking about, you always want to be buying in the bottom 25% of the area and looking to be selling in the top 25% of the area, because you cannot just determine that we aren't going to get this massive breakout. At least getting a portion out here and still holding to the upside would have been the perfect play. But since we've really strongly broken above on the upside, it's now potentially going to act as a support level if price does decide to get to turn around right now, because you can see we were at this old resistance level that happened back in April. So many months ago. We're coming back and retesting that price right now. And it does make sense that a few people are potentially getting out of their positions. They're actually selling here, saying we could have some resistance. And, you know, if they were actually buying down in this area, well, then 20%, that would a fantastic trade. In literally 5 days, people have made 20%. It's literally unheard of in a lot of other asset classes. So absolutely perfect. But again, if we are going to have a bit of a sell-off, it might be perfect. What might happen is the EMA is going to come back into this area. Not only will we use a lot of these points as support levels, we also potentially will come back and use the 20 EMA as a support level. So I can definitely understand why people are selling in this area. Even a lot of people through here were actually long in the market, and they never sold in any piece of this. And once they saw this downwards trend, they thought, maybe I'll try and get out break even. And as soon as price has come back to their level, they're saying, thank you, can finally get out break even and move on to the next trade. Ethereum on the daily chart in a very similar situation through here, having this trending channel, but you can see actually Bitcoin is leading Ethereum. Usually we see Ethereum leading Bitcoin, but we've actually seen a bigger push. Bitcoin has actually done a push back up to this area, because if you think about what I was just talking about, in April was when we had this high. Well, this high for Ethereum is up in this level, and Bitcoin is already testing that level, whereas Ethereum is still a little bit of a ways away from coming back to this old high back in April. So still roughly 11% away. So compared to Bitcoin down in this level, we've done a similar percentage move, but in terms of actually looking and adjusting to what's happened on the chart, not quite as big as Bitcoin has done. So definitely showing that we are leading. But since we've definitely broken above this channel, again, potentially looking for a little bit more upside movement. And if we do decide we need to come back, it would make sense. A lot of these areas were acting as resistance levels, then got broken through, going to act as support level once we come back and retest them. Also potentially using the 20 EMA. So we've got multiple confluence zones in these potential areas. If we do have a little bit of a sell-off, then there definitely is going to be buyers in the market. Now coming over to Binance Coin. Binance Coin has done exactly as I expected. For multiple days, I was talking about Binance Coin coming back into this value area between the medium term and between the short term EMA. So now I'm getting into my trade for Binance Coin, at least expecting a sweep of these lows. Regardless of what Ethereum's doing, Bitcoin is doing, I'm going to be trading Binance Coin as I see it. And we're still having this strong downside momentum. We've now came back into value. We literally touched the 20 EMA, and look what happened. As soon as it touched the average price, because the 20 EMA, especially on these longer time frames like the daily, is always known as the average price, and literally touched the exact average price. And there would have been a lot of bots actually coming into the market, because they can determine for themselves that we're in a downwards trending market. We have a downwards trending EMA, and we've finally come back to the average price. Well, God blimey, I'm going to be selling and either getting out of a long position or entering in a new position, because we've finally come back to the average price, and overall we've been in a really strong downtrending market. If you haven't already, make sure to leave a like on the video, make sure you're subscribed and you hit the bell notification, plus leave a comment if you're enjoying these trading videos. I'll see you in tomorrow's video.